Hey everyone, welcome to iConversations. Today we are joined with Leigh Martinuzzi coming to us from the state of Queensland. Leigh's going to be talking to us. This is part two of a two-part session of what's working for business building or lead generation and prospecting for 2024. Leigh, welcome to iConversations.
Hi, good to be back
That's
again.
fantastic. Yes. What I'm going to ask you to do, Leigh, because we have new agents popping on, some have never seen you before, whatnot. I know sometimes it gets a bit repetitive, but just tell us your little entry into real estate, how long you've been in real estate, where you're selling, those kinds of things.
The elevator pitch. I'm Leigh from Sunshine Coast, Palmwoods, little beautiful hinterland town here. If you've never been up here, get up here. It's a lovely spot. I made a conscious decision to narrow my marketplace when I moved here, which is now, I think, 4 years ago. And so when I came to the market, I just did things differently, I suppose, and became the number one agent in Palmwoods that year and have held that spot every year since. Which is good. I have this big fear that I'm going to lose that one day, but anyway, that's natural, isn't it? So that's my backstory. I started down the Gold Coast
Can
in
I
real
ask you,
estate.
can
Mm.
I interrupt you, just ask you, when you went there, were there any other agents that were really quite competitive, or was it fairly open, or?
No, there was three in town, three offices in town.
Mhm.
One who was the lead agent at the time.
Yeah,
He quickly vanished after a year or two,
yeah.
and I don't know what he's doing now. Don't see him much.
It's funny how
And then
that happens.
there was another two. One's still around, the other one's gone. And there was just a few other in the mix, I suppose, but they seem, I don't know, just didn't have the energy and the passion, you know.
Yeah, I just want to pick up on that point because sometimes you're talking to an agent or they're coming new to an area or whatnot, and they think, oh, Sally Snodgrass is the number one agent there in that marketplace. There's no hope for me to ever get into there and whatnot. And as you say, the market that I'm in, there was a very dominant agent here for years and years, and then all of a sudden they just disappeared. So, you just
Yeah,
got you
and I
just got to
think
do the work.
I think you just don't know, you know, if you can differentiate yourself from your competition, then that's your best way. And I mean, there's a new person that's come into town now. I don't think has any experience, but she's just done a different strategy and process, and she's getting some listings, you know, over me and one other who I think are probably the dominant agents in the area.
Yeah.
So it is, you can break through. But look, I started down the Gold Coast in a little fishing village, and I love that place too. Jacobs Well. That's where I started real estate, did down there for 3 years, different agencies across the board. Then I went overseas to Japan, came back after 2 years with the family and settled here. Didn't know really what I wanted to do, whether I wanted to get back into real estate, but I did. I worked with a boutique agency up here on the coast for a couple of years before I discovered EXP, and that's when I made the switch there. My strategy really is to focus on residential real estate in my core area, because I don't want to have to travel every day. I like just to be local, even though it sometimes is intimidating because you get this celebrity status. But yeah, it's staying local. I do travel a bit further from time to time, but usually just the surrounding suburbs. And now, 4 years in, I'm trying to expand those suburbs a little bit more to get some more market share in those outside suburbs as well.
Yeah, keep those numbers rolling.
Yeah, and the sales are down. I think we talked about this last time, so they've fallen down. So when you're just in a niche township like Palmwoods and the sales drop, obviously that affects your bottom line or your income.
Yeah.
So I do need to focus on spreading that a bit further.
And so what we want to kind of gear today around is maybe some of those actual nuts and bolts. So we talked about what you've been doing and whatnot, but there's some aspects of that around the conversations that you're having with people, and those kind of things. Just talk us, for those that weren't here last time, just an overview of what's a normal prospecting program for Leigh Martinuzzi.
Yeah, well, where I'd start, and if I was anyone joining the business or starting out in a new area, I would just get on the phones and have conversations with people on the phones without being salesy. I would be there to provide information, and be very genuine, be yourself when you're doing that, because people make relationships with you. There's no need to hide behind a brand or a facade that says, "Hey, I'm a sales agent. Look at me." That's not my style anyway. If it's your style, go for it. But I did that in the past when I first started out in real estate. I think I mentioned this last time, perhaps, but I saw everyone in real estate in these, ties and business shirts and driving wanky cars. And I thought, okay, well, that's what I need to aim for. And that's exactly what I did. And it didn't work for me because it wasn't authentic. And when you're not being authentic, that projects into the marketplace 100%. And so I did very well because I'm a hard worker. And I think if you can work hard, you're going to get traction. But if you can work hard and do it authentically in a genuine way, that's about relationships over transactions, you're going to build a much stronger business longer term as well. And you
I
see agents come into the marketplace. I know them around up here, and they're just transactional. They just go after the listing, go after the kill. When they get the listing, they just go after knocking the vendor down in price. And look, they seem to do a few, but they're scattered everywhere. And I don't think it's good for their reputation. And I actually speak to a lot of people that say, oh, I've heard of this company and this guy, and they don't have a good reputation. So it's certainly not advisable.
Yeah, we've got a few of those here, the churn and burns, where they're just thinking about getting that commission dollar and whatnot, and it's certainly not something. I think what you said there about being authentic to your natural flow is so important.
Yeah.
We have an agent here in Western Australia who is just that. They don't advertise, they don't do whatever. They've been in the business about 10 years, and every week or two their phone rings. Hey, so and so, my cousin sold with you last year. They love the way you treated them. Can you come and sell our house? Like it's just, and they're doing 35 to 50 transactions a year, no
Mm.
marketing, but
Yeah,
just being
it's fantastic.
just being authentic.
Yeah. And you can see most of the people, you got them on the call today, Chris Jen's on,
Yeah,
Bjorn's, but these people that we know well in the company,
yeah,
that's what they do well,
yeah,
So it is the culture that we've created, and I think it's really important to recognize that. And if you're not feeling, if it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right for you.
yeah,
So you need to reassess, well, what am I doing, and how can I do it that is authentic to myself?
yeah.
And you'll notice a big difference too. Like I noticed a huge difference in my levels of stress, in my joy and passion for what I do, because I got to do it my own way, right? So it just makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Your energy flow is there.
And it receives in the marketplace. People do see it and go, yeah, you look like that hard worker, you're ethical, you get a
And,
good reputation.
and that's
It's
and
really
that's where
important.
you get the comment, oh yeah, the person you see on video, he's the same person in real life, like it's those positive things. So let's talk a little bit about what's working for you right now in generating business. I know stock levels were down compared to what you would have liked them to be or what they were last couple
Yeah.
of years. Um, you do an obviously you audit your numbers on a regular basis. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Auditing my numbers?
Yeah.
I don't really.
But I mean, like you track, okay, I've done so many
Yeah, I've
appraisals.
I've got a tracker, so I've got my goals, and I write my goals down on, well, a couple of things at the start of the year on a spreadsheet, and then I put it on the board behind me as well. And I keep it in front of me just so I'm visually conscious of what I'm trying to achieve.
Mhm.
And then part of that process is also doing my visualizations, my affirmations every morning as well. Not always consistently, there's days where you wake up feeling a bit poo and you don't get to it, like today for me. But it's important to be aware of your goals and keep them top of mind. And, I have achieved, $600,000 in GCI at the end of 2024. Those constant affirmations, it sounds cheesy and funny. But the more you tell your mind those positive thoughts and the affirmations, the things you want to achieve, the universe will show up. And you still have to do the work. It's not like you can just sit back there and, I've done my affirmations, waiting for the phone to ring. You still have to do the work, but it's important to be aware of your goals and your affirmations. And then I keep track of it on a spreadsheet here on my computer. So I can look at I can see what the sales are, I can see what the commission are for the property, I can see what the GCI is, and I can see where I am at. That's the total amount. And so I know where I'm heading. One thing I'm very conscious is of not beating myself up too much when certain things aren't being achieved. I think the most important thing you can do is be aware of your KPIs, do the work. You can't control the externals in life, right? So if things aren't showing up, don't start beating yourself up and going, what am I doing wrong? What is it about me at the moment? Maybe you need to have that reflection because maybe it is something that's happening there. But generally, if you're doing the work, the process will take care of itself and the results will take care of themselves. Now, if the results aren't quite where you want to be, well, don't beat yourself up about it because that'll make you less motivated to do the work going forward. You just need to remain positive that, hey, if I keep the process going, the results are going to speak for themselves.
And I think it's really important what you're saying there, not to be hard on yourself, because the harder you are on yourself doesn't normally, I mean, maybe for some people it does, but it doesn't normally turn around in positive. It kind of can send you down a spiral. And I think I'm picking up straight away some really great stuff. So you reverse engineered your year. You've set your own KPIs. So I know sometimes we have conversations with agents and they go, oh, I love coming to EXP because there's no KPIs. And then 3 months later, they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like they haven't set themselves their own target. So without going into anything you don't want to share, can you just kind of talk to us a little bit about what your KPIs might be?
Yeah, we sort of touched on them last week. So I've got KPIs for calls.
And just for those watching, Leigh's got somebody making calls with him in the office. So if you hear noise, it's not someone we can put on mute. That's somebody doing the work.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right. So back to your KPIs.
He's a gun. So yeah, I've got the calls. Obviously that's my big one. And again, I think you need to tap into the one that makes you comfortable, the one that you think is most productive. It could be door knocks, it could be calls, it could just be flyers. Like I worked with an office, Chris Gilmore, and he didn't make a call ever. He was all about delivering flyers, and he just delivered flyers every week, and he got really good at his art. Very charismatic too.
Yeah.
So yeah, KPIs. So calls is one of my KPIs. Letter drops. So I do a combination of letters and professionally printed DLs or flyers.
Yep.
So that's the KPI.
And with that, are you putting on what do you mix? Or do you mix it up? Is it the same flyer over and over, or what happens with the flyer?
No, it's a different flyer. So I've got, and I can share a bunch of different flyers with you guys, but the typical one is a sold flyer.
Yes.
So it's got a recent sale, some testimonials on the back, maybe a QR code so they can scan and book an appraisal or get my business card link. We use what is it, Blink, I think it is.
Yeah.
If you don't have Blink yet, it's a really cool app.
Yeah, Chris talked about that last week.
There you go. So yeah, we all got onto that last year, I think. And so use something on your flyer that might get a lead. I really think the flyer is just marketing, constantly being in someone's face. But hey, if you're putting something on there that could lead to a lead as well, great. And you get calls off flyers. So they're probably the two big ones that you could do in your marketplace. And I wouldn't go too wide with your marketplace. I'd focus on 1,000 to 2,000 homes. And I would make sure you're getting something in their letterbox at least once a month to start with. And calling everyone in your suburb at least every 3 months.
Yep. Okay.
I think that'd be a good goal. Now you can work it backwards, like we discussed briefly last week. But if you've got a certain target of, I want to sell 20 properties this year, well, you can work backwards from that and go, well, how many do I need to list to sell 20? So it might be I need to list 30 to sell 20. Okay. Well, how many appraisals do I need to do to list 30? Well, I might need to do 120 appraisals to list 30. Okay, and how many calls or letterbox drops or whatever it might be do I need to get 120 appraisals? And that might be 1,000, let's say.
Yeah.
There are key percentages. Again, more than happy to sit down with anyone and talk about them more individually. And it's a really good reason why you need to track that as well. I got a bit lazy, but I think you need to track it at the start so you get a rough idea of what you can achieve. I've just started to track it again as well now because I've set these KPIs. And not off to the best start, but going okay. So, that's the two key areas I would do for your prospecting calls and letter drops. There are more things, and I think we talked on a few last week that you can do. Try different things. I always try different things. If they don't seem to work or if they don't feel aligned with myself or my brand, I'd get rid of them. And you probably saw a comment there on EXP chat, which a lot of people jumped onto. That was about using these social media companies and companies that try and help you create leads, and they give all these promises out there. I've tried them, wasn't happy generally.
Yeah.
So I think the best bet is for you to do the work, for you to be in charge of your prospecting and marketing, and that way you'll build those relationships more personally rather than someone else doing it for you.
And we won't go down the rabbit hole here, but do you think that the reason some of those companies don't work for a lot of agents is because their energy is not aligned with the agent's energy?
But potentially, no, I think it's a mixed bunch, really. Like sometimes it's saturation on social media, isn't it? Now you can see the social media design up there right in front of you now that it's got the little map
Mm-hmm.
and it's got Palmwood sales and it's got all these little icons. Look at all these sales in the area. And every social media company seems to be just running with that.
Yeah.
And so, as a consumer, you see that all the time, you get bored. Now, then you look at some of the best brands, Coca-Cola, McDonald's. I mean, Coca-Cola, their ads are epic.
Mm.
Like they stand out. And you, honestly, I haven't seen one for a while, mind you, but you sort of want to watch them. So you need to deliver content that's not like every other real estate agent in your marketplace. And that's probably the biggest thing. It's so easy to come in here and go, okay, Leigh Martinuzzi, he's a real estate agent. Oh, let's see what he's doing. Okay, I'm going to do that. Well, no, it's not your own thing. So do your own thing, I think, is the best thing you can do to get cut through and get engagement with an audience. And that could be anything. One thing I do right now that's, well, I think it's quite powerful anyway. We'll see what happens. But I do a weekly market update, and that's an in-depth sort of guide to what's happening in the property market across Australia and locally. And then once a week, I do a suburb report. So that's 60 seconds. And I think some of the other guys here do it as
And you're
well.
doing, just to clarify, you're doing that on video,
Video.
and then you are sponsoring that into your suburb?
Yeah. So I do it on video, and then I'll
Yep.
put it up on LinkedIn. I'll do a social, Facebook or YouTube. So there's just constant contact. So I do that. That's 2 videos a week that I'm doing without all the other videos that I might try and do as well.
Yeah.
So you'll see one go up today if you follow me on Facebook. It'll be, it's actually not a suburb market update. It's just a suburb report that I've offered to everyone to try and get some leads. So just something a bit different I'm trying. So, do stuff like that and don't worry, again, make it somewhat polished, but as you've seen my stuff, it's not polished at all. I just go it and do it and put it out there.
I love it. I love it because I think you're polished, but you're polished in an authentic way. You might be, well, we're not real fancy kind of a scenario, but you're consistent. You've got that real
Yeah.
approachable, consistent conversational style in your content.
Yeah.
So that's an element. You're doing your calls, you're doing your DL cards, and you're doing your social media engagements
Yeah.
with people. Can we come back to the call scenarios? We've talked about this in previous conversations and stuff, but some people are just terrified of the phone. So how do you structure that? How do you go street by street? So obviously you've carved out a farm area or a patch or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you go street by street, or are you starting with the guys with the surname Aaron and then Adams and then Anderson or whatever? Or and the question came, where do you get the numbers from? We'll come back to that.
Yeah. So I do it in this systematical process so I can remember where I'm up to, obviously. So if you haven't called your area before, start with A and go to Z. Call every street.
Yep.
And just say, hey, it's Leigh here from Martinuzzi Property Group. Hope you're having a great day. Beautiful weather today, isn't it? Oh, yeah. I'm not selling, they'll say. And you say, okay, well, that's cool. I'm not ringing you to see if you sell. I just want to introduce myself. You may not know me, but I'm in real estate services here. I've got my family going to the local school, and I really want to be of service to the marketplace here. Just want to introduce myself. And then you could say, hey, is it okay if we stayed in touch? Like, is there an agent you would use if you ever did buy or sell? Or could I stay in touch with you? Oh, I suppose so. Cool. Have you got an email address? And get that email address.
Yep.
And put them in the database. And then write a thank you card and put your business card in it and drop it in the letterbox.
Yep.
So everyone you speak to that actually wants to have a conversation with you, ask for their name. Oh, sorry, what? I didn't catch your name. Oh, it's Rob. Hey, Rob. Look, it's Leigh here. I know you're probably not buying or selling right now, but is it okay if we stay in touch? Yeah?
Yeah.
And then Rob says, yep, that's fine. Cool.
Yep.
Have you got an email address? Now, he might say, oh, no, I don't want to give out my email address. Ah, that's cool. I understand totally. I get so many emails every day too, so appreciate that. But look, I'll keep in touch with you anyway. I'll keep in touch if any sales happen in the area that might be of interest. And yeah, if you have anything, reach out. You have a great day.
Yep. So it's not high pressure. It's conversational. It does have a flow. Leigh was you did some training with Ricky Carruth, EXP agent over in America, and that's his style as well, coaching agents through that conversation?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was my style when I came to Palmwoods. Now my conversations are different because most people have heard from me at some
Yep.
point over the last 4 years. Um, and I think now the market's like a lot of the ones that Nico and I use daily is the just listed, just sold.
Yes.
And it works in the same, it's the intro and the outro all the same, just the middle bits are a little bit different.
Run us through that, Lee. So let's I've just you've just sold one. I'm somebody in your patch.
Yeah.
You call me. How's that conversation go?
Yeah, so I'll just ring up. Hey, it's Lee here from Martinuzzi Property Group. How you going today?
Oh, good, mate. How are you?
If I know the name and we've
Yeah.
spoken before, I might say Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really good. How's the weather? It's a better day than yesterday, wasn't it?
Oh, mate. Absolutely.
So, mate, I don't want to keep you. I know you're probably busy, and I understand you're probably not buying or selling property right now. But we just sold number 10 Tangerine Place down the road. Got a really good price for our vendors there just in 2 weeks. Sold for $925,000. How good's
Uh,
that?
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's not too bad, mate. But just wanted to let you know of that result. Is there any other information or anything else we can help you with today?
Mate, I'm all good for the moment, but I do see your signs popping up.
Yeah, put my face out there, embarrassingly.
Yeah.
So no, well, I'll just thought I'd keep you updated, mate. If there's anything we can help with down the track, reach out and we'll keep in touch.
Cool. Thank you.
Now, if you don't have an email address, that's when you'd say, "Oh, Rob, by the way, if you ever did buy," and I always use buy first rather than sell. So I say, if you ever did buy or sell in the area, is there a local agent you'd use, or would it be okay if we stayed in touch? And
Yeah.
they say, "Oh, no, it's all good." Okay, no worries. And I don't bother. Like, if they don't really want to talk to you or stay in touch, I'm not going to hammer them down to force an email, because what's the point of that relationship, you know?
Yeah.
That'd be like asking a girl out at the pub and she slaps you in the face and you say, "No, no, come back here. I really want to get to know you." Bang, slap again. Like, you just,
Yeah.
just move on. Like, there's, and Nico said it the other day, sometimes people are just not in the mood today. You call them in a month's time or 3 months' time or 2 days' time, they might actually love to chat to you. You just
Yeah.
don't know. So again, and I know what I'm like, because I get, we all get sales calls all the time, people trying to sell us stuff. And if I'm in the middle of something, they don't get my attention.
Yeah.
But if I've got time and somehow they've just got that right moment, sometimes they'll get my attention. So lucky them. So yeah, really just think, keep that in mind anyway. Don't ever push too hard for something. I used to, but I'm just like, why am I pushing for it? If they don't really want to give me the email, they'll just give me that and then unsubscribe anyway the next day,
And you're very big on sending out a digital email on a regular basis.
Yes, every Thursday, 5 p.m. without failure.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, that's gone out. Yep. And that's
So,
chock full of information in there.
so
Properties.
just to be for those that aren't aware of that whole kind of philosophy, it's you're calling, you're building a database, and then you are consistent as anything on servicing that database. And then over time, so there's lots of legwork going in the first few years to 5 years, whatever. And then the returns, it's like putting money in the bank because people know who you are. They know you're an option. They trust you. They see you as a normal part of their environment, I suppose.
Yeah.
Mm.
And a lot of people unsubscribe from that too. So that's why it all sort of blends back together. So I will often jump in there, and if I've just spoken to someone and I see that I haven't spoken to them for a while, they've unsubscribed from my emails, I might ask him if I could, send them an update or something.
Yeah.
Just so I can resubscribe them.
A lot of people unsubscribe from that kind of stuff, not because your content's not good. It's just that they're overwhelmed. Their inbox is overwhelmed. So they just go through and this whole strategy is how can I get my inbox smaller? Well, go hit the unsubscribe button on everything coming through. So don't take it personally, like, Mr. Smith at 7 Tangerine has identified Leigh Martinuzzi, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to technically unsubscribe from him because I don't like him. Don't take it that way.
No, spend your energy instead rather than, I used to jump in there and you'd see the weekly report and it'd say 10 people unsubscribe and you go, "Oh shit, who's that?" And you jump in there. Don't spend your energy on that. Spend your energy on making more calls and getting another new 10 people in there.
Yeah.
Because the people that unsubscribe are overwhelmed, or maybe it's just not relevant to them right now. It's same with that person on the phone that goes, "No, I'm not interested in that sale price." Okay, cool.
Oh, okay.
Have a great day.
It's
I
love it.
you only want to talk to the people that want to talk to you, and the people that have some interest in what you're offering. Not everyone's interested in real estate.
No, and I don't
Actually,
know what
most
the
of them aren't.
stats. I don't know what the stats are in your patch, but the stats are always quoted as, people are normally doing mums and dads transactions happen every 7 to 10 years across Australia. So you're just trying to get in that wheelhouse and
Yeah.
be consistent, which is
So what
what,
is it like? 3% of the marketplace at any one time are looking to transact.
yeah, to do something. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And then,
not big. When you're calling 100 numbers, you're only going to get three that potentially might want to engage with you, and that's
uh,
if they pick their phone up.
I was just going to ask you that. What's your pickup rate happening nowadays?
Uh,
Are you
look at
seeing
my
it
call
drop at
sheet.
all?
It depends on who I'm calling, but no, it's probably still. Oh well, I think it's fairly normal. So last week, and I don't know which day this was, I made almost 40 calls in a call session. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14 pickups.
Wow, that's pretty good.
14 connects out of 40,
Yeah.
which is about right odds,
It's about
and
35, 30,
two appraisals out of that
35%.
too.
Two appraisals. Great.
Yeah.
35%
Um,
pickup. It's pretty high.
so I track that on this. It's a very creative tracking sheet. It's just got a bunch of boxes
Yeah.
that I can tick and cross in and put C's or A's in and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so good. And what I love about what you're saying here is that it's not agents don't need to go out and just become super it's not super sophisticated in a lot of ways. It's easy to implement these systems. Like an agent could get off this call today, jump on their calls and start calling streets. There was a question asked before, and I'm not sure what your answer would be, but where are you finding the numbers for the people in your street? So, whatever street you're calling on, how do you get those phone numbers?
Yeah, good question. Just quickly too on that tracking sheet.
Just hold it back a little
Um,
bit, Lee, so we can see it.
can you see it?
Mm, yeah, that's better. Kind
Bit
of.
blurry.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can share it. It's just a bunch of boxes. Do whatever you want, but if you do start calls, do track them. Number one, you get the idea of your stats. But number two, it's a motivational tool. You ever write a checklist and you cross things off that checklist and it feels good? Exactly the same as crossing a little number, even if they didn't pick up. You're just getting one digit closer to your target of 40 a day or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And if you get to 40 or 42 and you haven't set that appraisal yet, you go, geez, I'm going to make it. You get motivated from a visual tracking sheet in front of you. I'm going to make another 10 calls. I'm just going to make another 2 calls because I want to get that appraisal. It is a really good motivational tool. As far as getting your numbers, there's multiple sources of where you get your numbers. The first step would be white pages and CoreLogic. That's where I'd start. It's for free to you. And there's a lot in CoreLogic. It's surprising how many more mobile numbers are getting in there as well. So I would start with that. The other way you can get data is through your marketing, obviously dropping off flyers, doing Facebook marketing. Leads will come in, so you just collect their data. One thing that I've just started trying or trialing is ID for me. So there's a lot of phone numbers in that and emails. And then finally, community engagement. So I do, and it's a funny little way to do it. I don't really try and market to these people, but I'll do a movie night, or I've got Clean Up Australia Day happening on the 3rd of March. So people will come along and I'll get details and data through that, which I can obviously use. So I do get data that way. Now, I don't subscribe them to my stuff if they've come to a movie night and I've never talked to them. But if I'm calling around Citron Place and I see that someone came to my movie night, actually lives there, I'll connect the dots and I'll call them.
Yeah.
And to be honest, most people know it's me and know what I do, and they seem to be fine with it. They appreciate my community involvement anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. So you've got your email going out. How frequently are you doing the flyer drops?
I try to do once a month to everyone. I was doing it once every 2 weeks
Do you pay
for a
someone to
while
do
there.
that, or do you do it yourself?
I do it myself.
Yep.
Yeah. I bought a scooter, so I scoot around on that.
Yep.
The wind in my hair.
The wind in your hair. Yes.
Dropping. But you can pay someone. I just found I couldn't find anyone reliable enough, and it costs a lot. And so I'll just get on the scooter and deliver them around. Once or twice a month, basically, they'll be getting something in the letterbox. And then you do just listed flyers. So every time you list a property, I do 100 of those or 200 of those, and that'll go to the neighborhood. I do just appraised flyers. So every time I go and appraise a property, I've got a stack here today to go out. There's about 100 letters that I've done up, and that just goes in the letterbox. Just appraise the house in your street, blah blah blah. So yeah, they're getting a lot of stuff in the letterbox from me, and so that goes out fairly regularly to the neighborhood. And I'm just starting to expand that as well into a new area, so we're getting some more out there as well.
All right. That's really cool. And how do you, like, we're not really paying attention to what our competition is doing, but do you feel that there are others that are doing the same or more of what you're doing in your marketplace?
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't think anyone's doing more than me. And I say that confidently, but potentially. I just don't know. I'm fairly prolific with everything I do, probably to my detriment.
Yeah.
But there are other people that are doing different things. Maybe you can oversaturate it too. I have those thoughts where maybe I'm doing too much, and maybe just need to step back because potentially annoying people. But I don't know. You wouldn't say that about Coke, would you? Because
No, and I think what happens is people's reticular activating systems, the RAS, and their brain, um, if it's not something that they're interested in at the moment, it filters it out anyway. Like you're not thinking about selling, you don't care what's happening in real estate, you're a tenant, whatever it is that you're just trying to you're focused on your own issues and your own problems. But if you are thinking about selling, your boss has just rung up and saying, mate, we don't have a job for you anymore, or you come home and your wife says, look, I'm sick of looking at you, or whatever is happening there. Yeah, then I think those things become
yeah,
more
more noticed.
yeah, so that's
We're
good.
driving by and seeing thousands of advertisements a day.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, unless it's sort of timely for you, you don't tune in. But subliminally, that MPG's in people's faces. My face is in people's face.
Yeah, that's right.
Constantly. So I think it does work.
We've had a couple of people ask a couple of questions, Leigh. One, do you call tenants?
Tenants, no.
No. And the second was, Sri asked, is door knocking not as effective as some of the other things that you are suggesting? And what are your thoughts?
No, it's all effective. Whatever works for you, Sherry, I think is important there.
Yeah.
There was a lady here that came in when I was up and running. I was probably a year in, and she started to pick herself up, but she did a lot of door knocks, and she was obviously quite good at it because she got a lot of listings.
Yeah.
So definitely, I think door knocking is a powerful one if it sits well with you. I'm just very productive conscious, and I found that me walking around, and I sweat a bit too, so it's not nice on a summer's day.
Yeah.
And door knocking, I can sit in my aircon and
I can tell you
make
yesterday
calls.
it was 42 degrees in Perth yesterday. There was no one thinking about going out door knocking yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go out today, and I've got probably couple of hundred flyers to put out, and I'll walk it, during the middle of the day. But I don't mind because I'm not going to see anyone straight away. So
Yeah.
no, door knocking can be effective. It's all effective, but I think the number one thing is you need to be speaking to people. And however you get to speak to people, that's all that matters. So whether that's a door knock or a phone call or some marketing on social media that gets someone calling you, whatever it is, just speak to people. You could join the local Rotary Club or
BNI or any kind of
whatever it might
yeah.
be.
Yeah.
If I started doing some of those things, but I didn't really like it, so I stopped doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just need to find out what you enjoy, and it's funny. And most people might not believe this, but I love getting on the calls and making calls. And I haven't been as consistent as I'd like over the last few weeks. But there was a couple of days last week that I just got through my calls, and it was about a 3-hour call session. And I just felt really good. I felt alive. I felt pumped, and it's amazing. Like I actually really, really enjoy it. And I look at it and go, okay, how can I talk to people today that provides some level of information and just in a genuine, friendly way? Like,
Peter Forbes says real estate geek right here.
Yeah, 100%, Peter. And it's just surprising. Because I had a bit of it was just a funny, busy week last week, and a couple of days where I didn't call. And then I called and I thought, geez, that made me feel good. It made me feel alive. And, generally getting on the calls and just really speaking with people and just having a good time with it.
I think from observation and my own personal experience over the years, I think that when you, whatever you've set out as your path, as far as, you know, if you're making calls, you're door knocking, whatever it is, when you do what you said you were going to do, I think it releases endorphins in your body and you're like, I'm on track.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
100%.
and then that picks your energy up. So then
Mm.
everything happens as a flow on from that.
Yeah, and it's a number of things because believe it or not, I still get here sometimes and get, oh, I'm going to start calls, you know, because it's not a comfortable thing for us just to ring up randoms and have a chat.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I don't want to talk to anyone at night. I'm done. I'm out of talk.
Yeah.
My family will call me. I won't answer generally because I just don't have the energy. I've
Yeah.
used it all in that call session, so
Yeah.
it does drain you. But yeah, it does feel good too. And you're right, Rob. I think having a goal that you achieve, and for me, that's the most important goal of my day, every day,
Yeah.
is to make those calls.
Yeah. Leigh, can I ask you, would you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
Introvert.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of agents that are very methodical at what they do and very good at what they do and very consistent are introverts. They have a
Mm.
system, they work a system, they get results out of this. They go and meet people, that's fine. They present to people, they have a system that they talk through with those people, what their goals are. It's either a yes or a no as them being selected as the agent, but they're very, I've seen so many introverted agents do so well. And along with the social media that you're doing as well, introverts do really, really well on social media because they're only talking to their phone.
Yeah.
And then they're hitting the sponsored post or you know whatever it is out from there. So that's really good.
Yeah, I think it's practice too, Rob. Like I'm a practice extrovert.
Yeah,
I've had to force myself to do that, But
yeah,
yeah, speaking in front of a crowd still not my favorite thing to do.
yeah. No, that's cool. Leigh, thanks for taking the time today.
Awesome.
Anything else that you would cover off if you were an agent that was either maybe floundering a little bit, maybe they're fairly new to the industry, or maybe they're just trying to retool, jump into a new patch, whatever. Any overall advice to them?
Yeah, number one, just looking at some of the questions there. If you want any scripts or anything that I use, just email me or call me, and I'll respond. That's not a problem at all. Uh, as far as starting out, if you're in the industry starting out, I think the best thing you can do for yourself is really get some solid routines happening, morning and night, and really get clear on what you want to achieve. I think if you can start your day off every day as best you can, you're going to be better off reaching your goals. And if you can have some clarity around what you want to achieve, obviously you're going to be better off getting your goals.
Yeah,
So start with that. If you don't have that already in place, then that's where you'll go wrong.
yeah. No, that's good. I love that clarity and routine. Very good. Leigh Martinuzzi, thank you so much for jumping on and
Thank you, Rob.
sharing with
Awesome.
iConversations. And everybody else, have a fantastic week, and we'll catch you next week.
Thanks for jumping on.
Thank you.